The BMW 5 Series and the Mercedes E-Class have both been completely overhauled for this year. But if you thought those sedans weren't sporty enough and yet still don't want the full-on hardcore experience that the M or AMG car have, these two sedans offer a really good middle ground. Here we have the BMW M550i xDrive and the Mercedes-Benz E43 AMG, two sportier versions of the more comfortable, very tech-forward luxury sedans that we all know and love. And while you might be thinking that these two can't be direct competitors because the Beamer has a V8 and the Mercedes has a V6, the pricing for these sedans is pretty much even, so that's why we're testing them together. They're natural competitors that offer all the full luxury of their regular models, but a bit of sportiness without going over the top. So you know this is a sportier version of a luxury sedan, but one of the first things you notice about the E43 is how it is so quiet inside. Like, you can hear no wind noise or road noise, and there's no harshness or vibration that makes it into the cabin. So this is the type of silence and serenity that a luxury sedan should have, and it has all of that. I do wish, however, that I heard a little bit more engine and exhaust noise just to make things a little bit more exciting, but I'm okay to let that slide. There isn't much noise from the E43's 3-liter bi-turbo V6, but it does make the sedan real fast. The engine outputs 396 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque, which helps rocket the sedan to 60 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds. That V6 sends power to all four wheels via a snappy 9-speed automatic. Thankfully, the 4MATIC system splits power 31-69 front to rear, which results in a sportier feel during launches and in corners. The suspension is also fantastic, and it's never too stiff or too soft, and it helps the car feel really confident when you chuck it into a corner, but you can also just glide over rough roads without upsetting the cabin. One thing that really surprised me about the E43 is how nimble it feels and how light on its feet it is. So it is about 200 pounds lighter than the BMW, which certainly helps because it just feels really willing to change directions, where the BMW feels a little bit more cumbersome in the corners. And I know the E43 is down 2 cylinders and a lot of power compared to the BMW, but there was never once when I was passing everyone where I thought, gosh, I could really need more power. I actually really like the steering on the E43 too. While it's not entirely communicative, it is really responsive and accurate, and it has a nice heavy feel to it, which helps the car feel a little bit sportier. And that twin-turbo V6 just has such a nice turn of speed. It makes everything just really snappy. So when I first drove the E-Class earlier this year, I was really impressed by it because it came with all of this advanced technology. Unfortunately, at this price point, the E43 doesn't come with a lot of that, which is a shame because it's not that cheap to begin with. And I really think that if cars are this expensive, they should come with stuff like adaptive cruise control as standard equipment. I do, however, love the E-Class's new interior. It's classy and everything feels and looks pretty fancy. I think this interior is a lot more expressive than the BMW, and I love this big, giant dashboard setup that looks like one big screen, but it's actually two smaller 12.3-inch screens in one big panel. That means the gauges are fully digital and customizable, and they look really fresh and modern, which is a theme that carries through the whole cabin. So we're in the BMW now, and one of the very first things you notice is that a lot more noise gets into the cabin, and that's mostly because of this glorious big bad V8 under the hood. And a lot of that noise is synthesized, which is better than nothing, so I'm okay to let that slide. But the acceleration is completely effortless, and I feel like the power just keeps on going and keeps on going, and it never cuts out. It's just a ton of fun, and that V8 gives this BMW a ton of personality. There's just something about driving a car with a big ass V8 that makes you feel like a boss, and this BMW just makes you feel really important in a way that the E43 can't really match. Interestingly, the BMW just doesn't drive as nicely as the Benz. Its twin-turbo V8 puts out 456 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque to all four wheels via an 8-speed transmission. And both power figures beat the Mercedes by a lot, like nearly 100 foot-pounds of torque. So it's obviously a hell of a lot faster than the E43, but it doesn't feel as easy or natural in the corners. So the M550i is obviously a hell of a lot faster than the E43, but it's also nearly 200 pounds heavier, and that means that it just doesn't feel as nimble or agile in the corners as the Mercedes does. And it has a really heavy steering setup, which makes it feel a little bit more cumbersome in twisty roads and in tight spots like an underground parking garage. I also really love the interior for the BMW. While it's not as modern as the E43, it's still wonderfully luxurious and really well built. One of the biggest draws, except for that magical V8, is all the tech that it comes with. So although some of it's really gimmicky, like the gesture controls, a lot of it is really useful, like the head-up display, fantastic backup camera that shows you if you're at risk of dinging the door next to you, and the adaptive cruise and lane keep assist are a godsend in crawling traffic. It feels really smooth and natural to use and is a breeze to set up. The BMW also has a huge bonus over the Benz. It finally has a touchscreen, so you can use your finger or the rotary knob to control the infotainment system. It's just really nice to have both options. It is insanely difficult to pick a winner for this comparison. Both of these fast luxury sedans are just so damn good. And I guess it really depends on what you want in a car like this. Even though it's down on power, the E43 drives a lot better and has a lot more personality. But at this price, the advanced driver assistance should really come standard. The BMW has that fantastic V8 and a lot more tech at this price, so it seems to have a better value. But my guess is that if you're dropping this kind of cash on a car, it won't bother you to spend a bit more money on the Mercedes to get all of that tech, which is the main thing that it's missing. Because this is a comparison of two sportier luxury sedans, I have to look at which one has the better driving dynamics. And for me, that means the E43 takes the prize, but only by a really small margin. It is the better driver's car, but if you want to feel more like a boss and you love a big-ass V8, the BMW is definitely the better pick. But I love both of these sporty sedans a lot, and I'm pretty sure regardless of which one you get, you're going to be really, really happy.